Aloha. Welcome to the Mr. G podcast. Today is Thursday, February 8th, 2024. I actually woke up and I was pretty darn sure it was Wednesday. And I was looking forward to looking at my phone and determining whether it was Wednesday or Thursday. And I was surprised, not pleasantly surprised, not disappointingly surprised, just surprised that today was Thursday. It's a pleasant 71 degrees in Honolulu, Hawaii this morning. It's been dipping down into the high 60s during my early morning cat feedings, which is pleasant weather for me and the street cats as well. Today, the big news is Tucker Carlson, famous journalist, independent journalist now. He's a former journalist for CNN, former journalist for NBC, former journalist for Fox News, is at the Kremlin in Russia. Um, Preparing to air it already the an interview with um, Vladimir Putin. I don't know if Tucker has left Russia, but there was reports that the EU is reported trying to establish a travel ban on Tucker Carlson because of his interview. Um, MSNBC did a poll asking if they considered Tucker Carlson a traitor for interviewing Vladimir Putin, and uh, their audience predominantly said that yes, he is a traitor. Independent journalists and independent thinkers believe otherwise, including myself. Tucker Carlson is not the first person to interview Vladimir Putin. Recently, not too long ago, a few years ago, Megyn Kelly of Fox News interviewed Vladimir Putin. People didn't make such a big deal about that. Isn't she a conservative journalist? Also, Oliver Stone had the production, the Putin interviews from 2015 to 2017, where he did extensive video and video interviews with Vladimir Putin. Also, George Stephanopoulos, a well-connected journalist, well-connected with the Clintons, well-connected with the Bidens, well-connected with the Bushes. Stephanopoulos interviewed Putin in 2014. People did not care about that. And just a few years ago, NBC's Keir Simmons, who I'm not sure who that is, interviewed Vladimir Putin in 2021, but it wasn't the number one news story. There are gatekeepers. I talk about the gatekeepers a lot. And Google is the number one gatekeeper because that's the number one website. And all other websites are connected to Google. Google is the most powerful website out there. So today, if you Google Vladimir Putin interviews, if you want to see who previously interviewed Vladimir Putin, it's not easy. Believe me, I tried myself. If you go to Google right now, put previous interviews of Vladimir Putin, all you see is Tucker Carlson, Vladimir Putin, Tucker Carlson, Vladimir Putin, like 10, 20 pages down. It takes some digging to find out, oh, Megyn Kelly interviewed Vladimir Putin. Oh, Oliver Stone did multiple interviews with Vladimir Putin. George Stephanopoulos interviewed Vladimir Putin. But no, every single Google result is Tucker Carlson, Vladimir Putin, Tucker Carlson, traitor or hero, Tucker Carlson, independent journalist. And it's like, that's a little fishy. Shouldn't, they talk about other things. So I went to AI and I'm like, hey, AI, what journalists have previously interviewed Vladimir Putin? AI, we cannot give you those results right now. Yum, yum, yum. What the heck? I'll look myself, AI. Okay. Dig myself. But yeah, those are four journalists that I was able to find within the last few years that have interviewed Vladimir Putin. Tucker Carlson makes five. During one of the things that all of their interviews have in common, George Stephanopoulos, Oliver Stone, Megyn Kelly, and NBC's Keir Simmons, is that they were very softball interviews. They didn't ask many tough questions. Um, and you get that when Putin is meeting with other heads of state as well. You hear a lot of nefarious things about Vladimir Putin, but journalists don't really question him about that. And I don't think today's interview with Tucker Carlson is really going to be that much different. Um, Tucker Carlson is going to release that interview today, and it might be the most watched uh, Twitter video in history. People are betting on how many views the Tucker Carlson Vladimir Putin interview gets in 24 hours, in the first 24 hours. And he's been teasing it. So it should drop today. But you want to keep these things in a peace of mind. Isn't February ratings month where everybody tries to get the most ratings and they're trying to like make as much money and headlines as possible? I think it is. And I think it carries over to social media and to distractions that they have in place for us minions, including the NBA trade deadline. Today is the day that a bunch of NBA players get traded. The biggest trade that I heard of as of airtime is the Oklahoma City Thunder got better with Gordon Hayward. For those of you who aren't huge basketball fans, Gordon Hayward, he's one of the best Caucasian basketball players in the NBA from the United States. He's known for his NCAA half court shot that I believe almost went in when he played for Butler, if I'm not mistaken. It was in the championship game. But the Oklahoma City got way better. They gave up draft picks and a couple bench players for Gordon Hayward, a veteran player. The Oklahoma City Thunder, they should make it to the Western Conference Finals. If not, it's a disappointment. Also, the Knicks, the New York Knicks, my second favorite team, they got better with Bogdan Bogdanovic. I've seen Bogdan play a few times this year with the Detroit Pistons. Bogdanovic is a foreign Euro player, but he's really good at three-point shots and spot-up shooting. And the New York Knicks shows have one of the deepest teams in the Eastern Conference. Hopefully, they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. One thing I noted on the trade blocker, the trade beeper, the trade whatever, is both Morris brothers got traded. Marcus Morris and Markieff Morris, I believe. They're twin brothers that play in the NBA that have both played on half a dozen teams each. But I can picture what that phone call was like to the twin brother to the twin brother, because they're always traded and getting to change teams. And today's the day that all NBA basketball players most of them would get traded. They probably called each other like, "Hey, Marcus, yeah, Marquise, hey, I got traded. Hey, me too. We both got traded." It seems both those players have a bit attitude problems. I'm not surprised. They've been with so many different teams. They're a lot of times getting on court scuffles. But it's interesting to have two twin players in the NBA. There's also the Thompson twins. One plays for the Houston Rockets, the other plays for the Detroit Pistons. Real interesting story on the Thompson twins, also identical twins. They knew they were going to be professional basketball players from a very young age. I've read up on them, and they played in a G League type team. They're rookies. Last year, they're 19 years old, I believe, 19, 20 years old. And their first year, instead of taking the traditional route of going to a four-year college, playing 1 year, then going into the NBA draft, they played with some Ignite G League team that, where they've got to play with other professionals. And I think both players are really good and will be in the NBA for, the next 10, 15 years. They're both good on defense, and they're both great at rebounding and other intangibles. So also being a twin myself, I find that interesting that there's identical twins and fraternal twins as far as Brooke Lopez and Robin Lopez. Currently in the NBA, just that I can think of, there are three sets of twins, six dudes that each have a twin brother and they're in the NBA. And I have a twin brother, and both of my sisters are twins. They're 4 years older than me. So my mom had two sets of twins. The odds of a woman having two sets of twins is 1 in 700,000. So it's pretty rare. All right. World Cup news, World Cup 2026. It's only 2 years and 4 months away. They announced the schedule recently, and the United States men's national team, the United States, Mexico, and Canada will be hosting the 2026 World Cup. It's the first time three countries will be hosting the World Cup. And Mexico will play their group stage matches in Mexico. Canada will play their group stage matches in Canada. The media didn't really get into where they're going to play and what dates. They mentioned the U.S. men's national team. They will be playing in Seattle, which is a soccer crazy city, and also Los Angeles. So they'll be in the West Coast group. As far as the other countries go, I found it interesting. Also, on the 4th of July, there's going to be a big game. On the 4th of July will be the United States' 250th birthday since 1776. And there's a round of 16 game on the 4th of July. And guess what city? Philadelphia. All right, the most iconic American city is holding a World Cup round of 16 game on the 4th of July, 2026. And it's in my heart that I believe that the United States will be playing in that game. They have to get to the round of 16, so that's thinking far ahead. The game will happen, but hopefully it'll be the United States playing in Philadelphia on the 4th of July on America's 250th birthday. So that's one to circle. Also, like I said, the U.S. men's national team, right now they'll be playing two group stage games in Los Angeles at the SoFi Stadium on June 12th. They're going to kick off the World Cup, their first match in SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. Inglewood. And also they're going to play June 25th, another group game at the SoFi Stadium. They're going to be playing in Seattle too. That's guaranteed. The United States is going to be playing in Seattle. So if you want to see the United States, there's only two different places where it's guaranteed, and that's Seattle and in Los Angeles. Other than that, it's not guaranteed that they're going to make it further into the tournament. Previously I said there's going to be 64 teams. I was thinking NCAA tournament. No, there starts with 48 teams, and then the group stage eliminates 16 teams. So then it goes to the round of 32. So out of the 48 teams involved in the World Cup, only 16 get cut after the first round. There's a good chance the United States will at least make it to the group stage. Okay, so Canada, they will also, there's not a good chance Canada will make it to the group stage. This will be one of Canada's first World Cups. They will have home field advantage. They'll be playing one group stage game in Toronto and two group stage games in Vancouver. That's all Canada has is two stadiums, Vancouver and Toronto. Me here in Hawaii, Vancouver would be the most logical game to go to. If I wanted to go to a World Cup game, I could see Canada, just a quick flight. And on June 18th, 2026, Canada will play their first, or the first game's gonna be in Toronto, but on June 18th, they're gonna play a group stage game in Vancouver, which at the BC Place is the smallest arena. It's either the smallest or second smallest arena in the 2026 World Cup. The only one that might be smaller is the one in Monterrey, Mexico. So that's a huge game. If you want to go to a huge game, Canada will be playing in Vancouver, the Canada men's national team, in a World Cup group match game on June 18th and on June 24th. They'll also be playing in Toronto, the very first Canadian World Cup game played on Canadian soil will be June 12th, 2026. So that's the three guaranteed games that Canada will be playing in Canada on Canadian soil. Mexico. All right, Mexico has the best chance of advancing in the tournament. Some people have them making the final, depending on what the draw is for the group stage. But there are three cities in Mexico which games Guadalajara, Monterrey, and Mexico City. The tournament opens in Mexico City on June 11th on 2026. And there should be a huge ceremony and this and that. The Mexico national team will be playing June 11th to kick off the tournament, and also June 24th in Mexico City. Then there's one other game where the Mexico national team will play in Guadalajara on June 18th. Right now in Monterrey, there are 4 games scheduled, 3 group stages and 1 round of 32, but there are no games for the Mexican national team scheduled in Monterrey. I had a college professor at the University of Texas in my last semester. He was from Monterrey, Mexico. Thank you for passing me. And whenever I hear Monterrey, I always think of him. He was a good dude. All right. That I'm really looking forward to it. It's 2.5 years away. So I want to put myself in a position. I might not be able to check out the Philadelphia game on the 4th of July, the round of 16. The World Cup final is on July 19th. So this tournament is over a month long. It goes from early June to late July. And New York, New Jersey, MetLife Stadium. They not only have the World Cup final, they'll also have a round of 16 game and a round of 32 game. They really lucked out, New York, New Jersey, with the World Cup schedule. And media outlets are reporting that Texas did not receive the final in Dallas. Texas gets a semifinal, not even a quarterfinal. I believe maybe Dallas gets a quarterfinal, but the reason they said was because of politics, because what's going on the border. Yes, Texas, Dallas does get a semifinal on July 14th. So that's the biggest game for Dallas. They also have the most matches, I believe. They have one, two, three, four, five group stage matches, two round of 32, one round of 16, and one semifinal. Um, they said it was politics. They said what's happening on the border with Texas and Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, and how it's not in coalition with the FIFA uh, platform. I don't know, the openness of FIFA. And so they went with New York, New Jersey. Boston has a quarterfinal. If you're going to go to Boston, the best game is on July 9th, the quarterfinal. Atlanta actually gets a semifinal. Semifinal is when there are only four teams. So the only game better than the semifinal is the final. And that was one of the biggest surprises. Atlanta gets a semifinal on July 15th. So congratulations, Atlanta. I hope you take advantage of it. I did read that Atlanta really invested a lot into this World Cup with practice fields and different buildings and roads and transportation system. So they really looked out for um, the arena. So I'm really looking forward to this 2026 World Cup because it's in the United States, because it's in Mexico and Canada. And it's not necessarily about the game, it's more about the countries. It's the most inclusive World Cup, meaning it's going to have the most countries, 48 countries in the group stage. Then they're going to eliminate 16, and there'll be 32 countries, a 32 country tournament. And I love seeing the smaller countries facing the bigger countries. I love seeing the national pride, national identity, and it's fun. We're having a world that's becoming more with people traveling and moving from country to country. French people are look different than you would imagine French, or um, English people aren't always pale Caucasians. And as the world gets more connected, you're going to see that more. And as people are traveling more and more, so something like the Japan playing Morocco, you have stereotypical Asian men, playing Moroccan men, and that's what I like. I like the segregation of the World Cup. Yeah, Asians versus the Moroccans. All right, little guys versus big guys. No, seriously, I like the different countries that play each other. Eventually, the world will be a one world government. So they'll look back at the World Cup and as a novelty, they'll be like, oh, 200 years ago there was different countries and we would play each other in tournaments. But humans always put themselves in groups. So even if there was a one world country, there would still be some way to, they would still have sports competitions with different neighborhoods or something like that. But that's what I like about the World Cup. I love geography, as you might be able to tell from the map in the background. Thank you for watching and listening to the Mr. G Hawaii podcast. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts. So listen on Apple Podcasts or Amazon Podcasts. And if you like what you hear, share it with a friend. Watch episodes in their entirety at twitter.com/Gregory Brandt, BRANDT. And check out me out on social media. I've made thousands of videos on TikTok and YouTube. And hope everybody, wherever you're at, have a great day. Not everybody, but just about everybody. If you hear the sound of my voice, have a good day. And be nicer to everyone, including animals. Peace.